Hi, thanks for joining me. I'd love to read an email that was sent to me in response to my first video. Dear Dominic, I was really interested in how you use technology in order to make you mindful about your emotions. Since I am not aware of my emotions at all during my work, but I still do consider myself an emotional person, I am an entrepreneur in the tech and startup industry. You seem very insightful with your dialogue on camera, and I wanted to know if you could answer a couple of questions for me. Okay. Yeah. What do you mean by accepting pain? How can I manage technology in order to become more mindful? It's a really good question. The words you use remind me of Eckhart Tolle. And I was wondering what insights you could offer me. It's a really nice email. Here's one of his videos I enjoy. There's a little link here, and I'll put this up in the blog so you can see what's happening. Interesting. Oh, this is a good one. Thanks in advance, Katie. She goes on to write some really nice things. Well, Katie, I have thought deeply about you and your questions. And here's what I have to say. The question, what do you mean by accepting pain? By accepting pain, I mean that in order to grow past who you were today, then you need to be real about what hurts in your life. What do I mean by being real? Being real about what hurts? If you work in the technology industry, then you are probably working with technology more than you're actually having direct contact with people. Since your computer probably limits the interaction you have with people, and most of the conversations or dialogue you have every day are through your computer, texting or emailing, then you probably have a level of frustration. By frustration, I mean if you're not able to connect, for example, to the internet or an application right away, then you probably feel frustrated. You're not alone. Most of the clients I speak with, that I work with through Skype or in person, say they feel disconnected when the computer doesn't work instantly. If you're human and you do have emotions, then that probably doesn't feel good, since disconnections to us as humans feel personal. Then we have to keep ourselves aware of what disconnection really means. For instance, if you have challenging dialogue with your significant other or partner, and you had a series of, let's say, technology disconnections that day, things just weren't working out right, then you might be ready to argue because you have this kind of pent up frustration from your day. So why would you be ready to argue because of these disconnections? Well, if you follow the work of Eckhart Tolle, then you might say your pain body is agitated, and it comes out because it's aggravated already when a significant other engages you. It's like, oh, I just had a bad day, or I'm grumpy because of whatever. Here's how I would explain how the pain body works. In this case, it would be if you took the disconnection of technology personally, which it's hard not to, or that someone or something took longer than normal, an email didn't send, or someone didn't reply to your email the way you thought or how timely it should have been, and you get frustrated, then know that you're not alone. Technology is making us as people less emotionally intelligent. But at the same time, that does not excuse you or me from taking emotional responsibility for ourselves or for yourself. If I were you, I would learn how to leverage technology in a more mindful way. And then see how your emotions and pain body actually begin to diminish. In the video you sent me, and I'll put a link in here, at the time between 11:25 and 11:35 of Eckhart Tolle's conversation with Bradley for the talks at Google, Eckhart has an interesting line, an interesting quote that he says. And it goes like this. It goes, all spiritual teachings point to the possibility of something in you that is deeper than thinking, a space, a stillness that is always there. Always there. Well, my interpretation of Eckhart's teaching at this point is something that I actually combined and I learned from, it's called the Pomodoro Technique. And I'll put a link below for the video. Since I'm an emotional person and I function intuitively, then I needed to find a way of motivating myself to think and invest myself in an activity, because I can get lost in that space. By invested, I mean something that helped and stimulated me in order to manage my time and my energy better. The Pomodoro Technique is based on a timer of intervals. And I really learned how to take this to the next level when I learned how to use the 22 and 8 technique from my mentor, Offer Breyer. And it has absolutely worked wonders for me in living that quote from Eckhart. If I had 3 activities, for example, to finish throughout my day, and let's say emotionally I was feeling anxious and possibly fearful that I might not get everything finished. Here's how I do set up my day and organize myself. First, I would write down how much time I had, but I would break the increments down into 30 minutes. So for example, if you had 8 hours of work and then you broke those down into 8 60-minute segments, Well, then I would break those down and break them up into 16 30-minute segments or increments. And since I had 16 30-minute increments, then I would break each one of those 30 minutes into 22 and 8. Now, in order to execute one task completely, then I might do task A for 16 segments of 22 minutes for a total time of 352 minutes by the end of the day. Now, since I would have 16 8-minute segments left, then I might work on task B or task C, breaking them up evenly, alternating them every second or third 8 minute amongst the 122 8 minutes that would be available. Now, see, if as an emotional person, you're really going to invest yourself completely, then I have found that you need to rotate your micro tasks. Because if you rotate your micro tasks, but still have a plan to follow, then you can keep your work interesting and continue. You can continue to emotionally invest yourself. Hi, okay, so here's where we were kind of leaving off. We were talking about how to invest yourself completely as an emotional person for your micro tasks and why your micro tasks are important. They're important to keep your work interesting. Now, the reason you have to keep it interesting is because you have to be responsible for emotionally investing yourself. Because the truth is, if you don't rotate your activities and then you try to stick it to yourself as an emotional person in order to complete your work, then you'll likely reach emotional exhaustion. Build up this pain inside. And since emotional exhaustion or the buildup of stress, oh man, that doesn't feel good, then I can imagine why Eckhart Tolle says and speaks about our pain body and how that becomes activated quickly because we have all this built up frustration because we keep trying to stick ourselves as emotional people, as intuitive people. Another person wrote in and he shared an article on accepting pain. But I was surprised on actually who the article was about. Now, apparently, this article is about Bill and Melinda Gates and what big supporters they are of accepting pain. Accepting pain. That's big. And the article is from Business Insider, and it is titled, Bill and Melinda Gates Reveal the Crucial Traits Required for Innovation. Now, here are a few insights from that article that I'm able to remember now. So, in this article, Bill Gates said, even in dire situations, optimism can fuel innovation and lead to new tools to eliminate suffering. And Melinda Gates says, optimism for me isn't a passive expectation that things will get better. But she goes on to say, it's a conviction. It's a conviction that we can make things better. And that whatever suffering we see, no matter how bad it is, we can help people if we don't lose hope. And the most important part, we don't look away. Therefore, she means going into and accepting your pain. That connects to where Eckhart was talking about this stillness that stays with us. This feeling. Now, in order to apply the 22 and 8 principle in your life and your business, you will have to accept the pain of holding yourself to a timer. If you can hold yourself to a timer, then you can leverage technology in order to become more mindful of your emotions. Because if you do not want to finish the task you choose for your 22 and 8, then you may be avoiding your task by procrastinating or searching on the internet. Now, since as an entrepreneur, you're responsible for your work, then if you're mismanaging your own time and not practicing mindfulness, but if your goal is to practice mindfulness in this digital and technology age we are in today, then you need, at least in my opinion, you need to have a way to leverage technology. By leverage technology, I mean, as an emotional person, or as an emotional people, we have to use a system that supports our emotions and motivates us to complete even the small tasks and projects. Because if we do not take responsibility for emotionally motivating and making our micro tasks interesting, then the likelihood of completing them well is not high. I wish you luck, Katie. And thank you for writing in. Cheers to everyone who's watching this and allowing me to share. I really appreciate this. I'm very passionate about helping others in the way they lead their lives. So I will continue to share and answer the questions, as many as I can, and I hope that you find this as valuable as I have. So thank you and take care.